Hello everyone, welcome back. It is a new day, a new sleigh, and a new video where I have something to say. And today we are celebrating my channelversary. That's right, it has officially been 1 year since I uploaded my very first video on this channel. I was gonna decorate the background with like streamers and balloons, and I was gonna get a little cake, but then I would have to go through the effort of blowing up balloons, hanging streamers, and if I wanted to get an entire cake, I would have to have friends to share it with, which I don't. At least I don't have enough friends to warrant buying an entire cake for a gag on a video. So I'm just gonna like put a picture of a cake in my hand and we're gonna pretend that it's real and that we're celebrating the birthday of my channel. I might get myself a croissant later to celebrate. I do enjoy a good sweet treat every now and then. Every now and then, meaning at least once a day. So to celebrate 1 year on this channel, I thought it was only fitting to go through and get rid of some of my old books. I'm sure most of you probably haven't watched the very first video I uploaded. You don't have to. It's not the best. The microphone quality, the camera, I mean, it's the same camera, but I did not, overall, the production was not great. I was also just like barely getting a hang of editing, so it could have been better, you know, but everyone starts somewhere. Your first try at anything is not going to be perfect. So I'm satisfied with the video, but would I be embarrassed to watch it? A little bit. But anyway, what I said in that video is that the whole purpose of this channel was for me to go through my entire bookshelf, go through my TBR and read every single book I have before starting any new books. My project for this year is to read every single book on my TBR list without purchasing a new one until I'm completely finished with every single book that I have bought. And for the most part, I did hold true to that commitment. A lot of the new books that I got were given to me as gifts, so I didn't technically buy them, although I did buy a lot when I went to Portland. Listen, you can't just visit Portland, see Powell's bookstore, and not buy books. Like, I'm sorry. I didn't buy that many. I was very reserved, but I still technically bought some. And I actually did make a video the very first time that I broke that promise to not buy new books. I lasted all of maybe 3 months because Barnes & Noble had a special edition for Bloodmarked, and I just really wanted it. But I want to say overall, now that 1 year has passed, I have read most of my TBR. Honestly, some books, I really got through them begrudgingly just because I wanted to hold true to that promise. And now that I have new books and now that it's a new year, I do want to go through and kind of just declutter my bookshelf. The books that I will be unhauling are either books that I've had forever and I know that I won't read, books that I've already read once and I'm confident won't read again, or books that I just hated so much that I can't look at them anymore. And the fourth category, which is like most of the books, are books that I bought because I needed them for classes. And even though those books are good and I did like reading them, the association with academia makes it so that I never want to look at them ever again. So I have a stack to the left of me of all the books that I'm going to get rid of, and I will be giving a brief explanation of why. I'm also going to be just like kind of yapping this whole video, just like talking about the things that I'm interested in. We've had a lot of things come up within just this month of January, and you know, this video will just be like a very casual talking session. I will be yapping, you will be listening as per usual. So without further ado, let's just get into this. So the first book, where do I start? So the first book that I will be unhauling is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I actually got this book because it was a required reading for one of my classes. Now, I don't know if everyone remembers, but there was like a super famous like rage baity kind of TikTok that was going around where someone was essentially saying that they didn't like Six of Crows because it was like too long and they had too many words on the page, and people were really eating that girl up. But honestly, she didn't lie. I had to read this book for a class that was all about how to write young adult literature, and we literally studied this book because of how dense it is. My teacher, wonderful lady, love her to this day, she was like, this book is very good, it's written very well, but it is incredibly long. Like, she will name every single side character. There is no such thing as like just a random guard. They have to have a name, backstory, love interest, all this. And that is just like the style of writing. It's not right or wrong. It is just how the book is. So for people to like immediately call that like illiteracy or anti-intellectualism, to say like there's too many words on the page, bro, It's just a fact. Like, there are, first of all, the font on this book is incredibly small, and I do have an issue with reading books that have like really small font and a lot of words on a page. And I even watched this one TikTok where someone was like, you literally get like a boost of dopamine when you flip a page on a book. So when you get that delayed response, it feels a lot longer and it doesn't feel as enjoyable. So it's literally scientific that like when you have a lot of words on a page, it doesn't incentivize you to go through it as quickly because you're not getting that dopamine rush as quickly. I'm not saying the book is bad. It's pretty good. Honestly, I didn't finish it, but it was pretty entertaining. It is very long. And I just don't think I will read it. And if I do, I will simply go to Libby and check out the audiobook. There's just really no need for me to keep a physical copy. And you know, I can just put this in like a little library somewhere. I can give it to Half Price Books or something so that someone else who really wants the book can have it. That's my philosophy with a lot of these books that I'm unhauling. The next book that I will be unhauling is 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. This one I'm a little sad to unhaul because it does have the coveted Shakespeare and Company stamp on the inside. I did get it from Paris, but listen. Okay, I'm willing to read a lot of stuff. I'm willing to kind of make myself uncomfortable in order to read a book if I know that it's good. This book won a Nobel Prize, so I have no doubt that it is good, that there is substance to it. I started the book and at first I'm already like, okay, this language is very complex. It's definitely not young adult, so I'm going a little bit out of my scope here, but that's fine. I started reading it and I got to a point in the book. Let's just say one of the characters in the book, he like disappears. I forget all their names, but he disappears, comes back home and sees that his younger sister has grown into a woman, and he is very aware of how she has grown. They engage in incest. That is what happens in the book. And, you know, I'm willing to get uncomfortable. And I understand that authors do that. They like kind of push the boundaries. I've read Toni Morrison. She does that frequently, where she will make you uncomfortable, but it's like for a purpose. And I know that it's probably for a reason, but there are just some things that I'm not willing to find out. I'm not willing to read through this book to figure out why they had to be in an incestuous relationship with each other. That was the line for me. I was like, I can't finish the book. I don't care to find out what else happens. I know that there's a reason. I know that it's magical realism. It won a Nobel Prize. And you know what? I don't care if people call me like stupid or like I don't have an appreciation for the classics, because you know what? I'm okay with that. I can't read the book. I can't go through it. I have very few requirements. I have very few boundaries when it comes to reading a book. This happens to be one of them. I can't. Just like the dialogue between them and the way that it comes up in the book is just weird. It makes me feel weird, and it was too much. I couldn't handle it. So that's why I can't finish it, and I won't read it. If someone wants to explain to me the plot of the book, I know there's a TV show on Netflix, and even then I'm scared to watch it. But you know what? I'm sure someone else will really love to have this in their collection. I still have some of his other books that I'm holding on to because I know that he is a very famous, very renowned author, and I'm sure that he has so much to offer me. I just can't read this book. The next book that I will be unhauling is 13 Reasons Why. And the reason I'm unhauling this book is purely for my own personal boundaries. Again, I bought this book when it was like super famous, when literally everyone was reading it before the show came out. And it wasn't until I got older that I realized and I learned that the author, Jay Asher, yeah, that's his name, he wrote this book based on a real life person. One of his, I believe his nieces, one of his family members for sure. Like he based an entire story off of this girl. And you know, I haven't read the book since, but I remember it very vividly. The main character, Hannah Baker, is not a likable character. Like she's not a good person. Yes, she's a victim. And yes, she unfortunately does not survive at the end of the book, but she is not a good person by any means. So just like knowing that and knowing that she's based off a real person, that just feels weird to me, especially knowing that he didn't ask for permission. That doesn't sit right with me. So I don't want to like have the book. Exploiting someone else's trauma for your own profit is never okay. And it's never something that I would find acceptable. So I'm not keeping this. And honestly, I think the book teeters more on like trauma porn more than actual awareness about these serious topics, because first we have the book, then we have the Netflix show, which has, for some reason, an additional like 2 seasons that don't need to be there. Season 1 was already traumatizing as fuck, and I watched the unedited version with Hannah's full scene. And then I watched season 2. And at the end of season 2, they have the most brutal assault scene I've ever seen on television. I literally threw up after watching it. And I was a teenager. There was no reason that I should have been watching that show, but it was based off a book that was aimed at my demographic. So it just feels really weird. I have no like good feelings or good memories when I look at this book, when I think about when I read it. So I just don't need to have it. And if someone is curious enough to actually read the book, at least they can get it for free in a little library or wherever I decide to put this. Next on the list is Fun Home by Alison Bechdel. If you didn't know, which I'm kind of stupid because I didn't know when I read the book, but Alison Bechdel is the person that coined the Bechdel test. I know, how did I not make the connection? Well, I was in college and stupid. Anyway, so this is her memoir about her life, and this was an assigned reading for one of my classes, and I did enjoy it. It's really an interesting read because obviously this is the story of her life, and it is not a picture perfect one. You know, she has her own struggles. It's called Fun Home, and fun is short for funeral because she grew up with her parents who worked at a funeral home. It's a very interesting read, but the only reason I'm getting rid of it is because I just don't think I will read it again. It was great the first time and I really did enjoy it, but you know, this can move on. This can be recycled from my library. So hopefully someone else will enjoy it and someone else will pick it up. Maybe someone else that has this as an assigned reading. So next on the list, this one is kind of funny for me, is Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief in Spanish. The reason I have this is because a while back, I thought that it would help me to grow my ability to speak Spanish if I read more literature in Spanish. And I have read The Lightning Thief at least 10 times. I always reread it at least, I want to say, once a year. I just really enjoy The Lightning Thief. It is one of my favorite books from childhood. I ride or die Percy Jackson. So I was like, well, if I know everything in The Lightning Thief and I just read the version in Spanish, then if there's any words I don't understand, I can just reference the original and grow my vocabulary. I quickly realized that it's obviously not a one-to-one translation and that stylistically, things that are written in Spanish are different than they are in English. For example, a lot of the dialogue in this book, they don't use like quotation marks, they use like dashes. So that really messed me up. And also, this is a similar issue that this book just has a lot of words on a single page. And that is also just because of the translation. It might take more words to say the same sentence. So I recognize that. And although it was a good idea, I never got to finish this book. And unfortunately, I don't think I ever will. If anything, I think it might be a little bit more beneficial to me if I listen to the audiobook in Spanish, because then I can actually like hear someone speaking and get more practice that way. And in general, there are other ways to get practice than just reading a book that I already know what it is in English. I don't think that would be a challenge, really. It might be a challenge if I read a book that I had never read before. And in general, I think I just want to read more books that are originally written in Spanish and not translated, and really challenge myself to kind of get through it and learn Spanish that way, as opposed to reading something that is translated, because translation doesn't always, convey the same message as it does in its original language. So this was a good idea in theory, but in practice, not so much. But speaking of Rick Riordan, the next book I have on my list is Throne of Fire. The only reason I'm getting rid of this is because Rick Riordan, that guy has a lot of series in his expanded universe, and there's only so many I can read. Now, did I like the Kane Chronicles? Yeah. Did I finish it? No. And as much as I would love to one day just like completely deep dive into every single one of his series and expanded universes. I don't have enough time for that. I have a lot of fond memories with the Kane Chronicles, but unfortunately, I just don't think I will finish the series. So there's really no reason for me to keep the book, especially when the younger generation of readers can have it for themselves. So this will be going to a free little library for someone else of an appropriate age range to enjoy, or whatever age range. You know what? Who am I to judge? My whole channel, I read young adult, and I'm 24. I'm 23. I turned 24 in a few months though. Like, I gotta give myself some slack. Then, this might be controversial. The next book I'm unhauling is Looking for Alaska by John Green. I don't like John Green novels. Every single John Green book I've ever read, you know, Looking for Alaska, Paper Towns, The Fault in Our Stars, it's all very manic pixie dream girl. And you know, it's fine, I guess. The children in the books also just feel very like adult, like they're always smoking. And I'm like, why, John? Why are we making teenagers smoke? What message are we trying to put out there? That if you want to be cool, if you want to be like these characters, that you should be smoking? I'm very against it. Look at me. I'm judging this man. He's got, what is this, a Pulitzer Prize? Pulitzer Prize is for journalists. I'm so stupid. I'm judging this man and he literally has a prize on this book. I'm not saying the book is bad. I just, stylistically, I don't really like a John Green novel. And you know, maybe it's because the last time I read one was when I was like actually in high school. So it's been a while. Maybe I should go back, you know, with my almost fully developed frontal lobe and see if I feel any differently. But also, I just don't think I'm gonna read this book again. Like, I read it once, it was fine. I might watch the TV show. I heard there's a TV show, but I don't think I'm actually gonna read this again. I will say the cover's nice. I really like the cover. I think this design really speaks to me, and I'm sure someone else will love to have this in their collection, but not me. Okay, I've actually changed my mind about one of these like halfway through. There was a point in my life where I was like, I'm gonna read classics because I never liked them in school, and I just thought that, you know, now that I'm older, at the time I was like 17 maybe, I thought that I should try to read classics, you know, be an educated woman. So I bought a ton of like classics from Half Price Books, and I was like, I'm gonna read it and I'm gonna be such an intellectual. I'm getting rid of them now. Not this one. My mommy bought this one for me, and I actually am a little bit sentimentally attached to this. So this is actually going to go back on my bookshelf. Also because I really like The Catcher in the Rye. I've read it, I think 7 times. I don't know what about it. Every single time, like, I didn't get it, so I would just like read it again out of spite to see if I understood it better. And then over time, I just really liked it. So this is a book that my mom got me, so I feel very attached to it, and I'm just gonna keep it now. So, and it's also just really cute and tiny, which is not great for the aesthetics of a bookshelf because none of my other books are this size, but I really like it, so I'm just gonna keep it. But these two will go. This is A Farewell to Arms by Ernest Hemingway and Dante's Inferno. I really thought I was gonna read this book. The sticker is still on it. I have not opened this, you know, and I don't think that I wouldn't like it, but I just don't think realistically I have the time for it. So this will have to go back to Half Price Books. A Farewell to Arms, I actually did read it, as you can see from these tabs, and I did enjoy it. It was nice, but this is also another case of like, I don't think I will read this again. I read it just to say like, I read a classic, but otherwise this can go back. Then we have a million books that I was required to read for school that I then never wanted to read again out of spite. This is How to Write an Autobiographical Novel, The Art of the Memoir, American Salvage, and Bird by Bird. So these are all like books to learn how to like write and focus on craft. They're very useful. They're very educational. But I will not read these again. I just associate these books with some of the most like grueling coursework I've ever had to do in my life. And I can't go back there. These were definitely great for my education, but you know, I don't think I'll pick these up again. Anything that I needed to know, I really internalized. Plus I have another book. I don't know where it is. There's one book that was very educational and I did decide to keep, and that one is called Scratch. To any writers, authors, whatever, I highly suggest that you pick out that book because it will teach you all about the industry And specifically, it's all these interviews and whatever testimonies from authors, from people that have made their careers. And it'll give you a lot of great insight. And, you know, especially with the conversations that people don't really talk about, things like how much you should get paid, how that paying process is, how you can support yourself in your writing career, even though, you know, it might not be as lucrative. You're not getting a for sure weekly paycheck. So just like having those hard conversations, really understanding like what goes on behind the scenes, that's like the perfect book for it. So I really highly suggest, if anyone is pursuing a writing career, you should read that book. Another book that I will be unhauling is Crazy Brave. It is a memoir by Joy Harjo. I really love this book. This is honestly a book I think about frequently, and I really enjoyed it. I honestly never knew who Joy Harjo was before I picked up this memoir. I had to do it for a class, and I was actually really happy that I ended up reading it. It's very quick. It's very short. The only reason I'm unhauling it is, again, I don't think I will read it again. I really enjoyed it the first time, but I just don't have the time for it. And I think someone else could get a lot of enjoyment, especially, you know, books are expensive nowadays. So finding stuff like this in a free little library or at a discounted bookstore is great. It's a wonderful resource. The last few books I am unhauling are pretty like obscure titles, I want to say. I haven't met a lot of people that have read these books. Here is The Water Wars by Cameron Stratcher. It was the third book that I reviewed on this channel. I hated this thing. First of all, there's no audiobook for it. So I actually had to sit down and read it, which was already annoying. I say annoying because mostly I like to multitask, like I'll do chores around the house or I'll do something, but I will listen to the audiobook and it's easier to keep my mind engaged that way. So having to just sit down, also the font isn't my favorite. It's a similar situation where like it's literally the margins are like half an inch, probably less. So I didn't particularly like that. And the book is awful. I hated this thing. It used to be like the worst read of 2024, but then I read Blood of Hercules like right before the year ended and it snagged the spot at the last second. This was definitely not enjoyable for me, and I have had it since I was a sophomore in high school. She has lived on my shelf for a really long time and it's time to evict her. Ooh, we have a receipt in here so I can tell you when I bought this book. I bought this in 2020. I don't remember that. But the last book I have on this list is This Is How You Lose Her by Junot Diaz. The only reason I bought this book is that so I could be an edgy little weirdo and post the cover on my Snapchat and like indirectly call out whatever dude I was talking to and be like, yeah, guys should really read this book. This Is How You Lose Her. I am so embarrassing. Why did I buy a whole book just to make a singular story upload? I mean, it sounds interesting. I wouldn't be opposed per se to reading the book, but this is another one that I don't think there's an audiobook for. So let me check actually. I'm not like a strictly audiobook girl. Like I will read a physical copy and I do enjoy, I really have an appreciation for physical books. It is just that I am literally too busy to sit down and read. So audiobooks are just the easiest for me and the best way that I can consume literature. Oh there is an audiobook. There's really nothing wrong with this book, but yeah, I just probably won't read it for the sole reason that I can't live through the cringe of 2020 again. Knowing that I bought this book just to be edgy will haunt me as I try to go through it. I'm sure it's great. I'm sure it's wonderful. Someone else will find this wonderful. Not I, unfortunately. I lied. I have one more book, and that is A Raisin in the Sun by Lorraine Hansberry. This was also a required reading, and I loved every second of it. The teacher that put this in the curriculum also put a lot of the books that I still have on my bookshelf. She just like really put out bangers for our entire class, and nobody appreciated it except for me. It is a play. So like this is a script, very tiny book. Literally, I can hold it in my hands. It's very tiny. I did really enjoy this, but again, I think I want to give someone else the opportunity to enjoy it at no cost. So this will go into a free little library. I think everyone should, if not read the screenplay, watch the play. The title, A Raisin in the Sun, is actually a reference to a poem by, give me a second, Harlem, what is his name? Don't tell me. I I got it. Don't tell me. Don't tell me. I'm not gonna look it up because I know what it is. Langston Hughes. Langston Hughes. That is his name. I'm actually gonna read it because they put it in the front of the book and that's how much I love it. What happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun, or fester like a sore and then run? Does it stink like rotten meat, or crust and sugar over like a syrupy sweet? Maybe it just sags like a heavy load. Or does it explode? Chills. I love this book so much. So with that, oh, don't fall. Please don't fall. Please don't fall. I'm begging. This is the stack of books that I will be recycling from my bookshelf. Oh my God. It's a lot of books. And, you know, somehow my bookshelf is still full. I can't fit anything else. I'll be dropping a few of these into Free Little Library, specifically any of the YA titles, because I feel like those are a little bit more popular. And for any of the adult titles, I'll probably just give them to a secondhand store. Again, just to make these as accessible and affordable to anyone that wants them. So with that being said, that is the end of the video. Again, we are celebrating, guys. I have hit a year on this channel and we're already almost at 6,000 subscribers. We might be over that threshold by this point, but I have no idea. I know I haven't been uploading as regularly, and that is not because I don't want to, but because I have to sleep. And, you know, I was really chugging along with only 5 hours for a couple of weeks. Unfortunately, I did hit a point where I was just like collapsing and my body would forcibly sleep for 9 to 10 hours every night. So unfortunately, I do have to get that back on schedule. I was just very disorganized. I'm still a little disorganized. So I'm hoping that by unhauling all these books, I will get rid of some of the clutter and hopefully get my life together. I have a project that's going on in the background that I'm not sure I can talk about yet, but just know that there's something happening. And I'm always working to make quality content for the channel. If there's not an upload for me, just know that I am working on something that I am proud of and that is good quality for you guys. So to celebrate 1 year on the channel, I want you to go out, buy yourself a sweet treat, get a coffee, something, just, you know, treat yourself a little bit because we are celebrating. It honestly feels like so surreal. I remember sitting down like in this chair, in this spot, the very first time I recorded. And honestly, that video I uploaded wasn't the first time I recorded a video for this channel. Surprise. I actually tried before last year in January to upload a video to this channel. And the reason I never uploaded it is because I actually want to revisit it and, you know, re-record, go through the script, and just update it before I upload it for you guys to enjoy for real this time. I'm working on a lot of good video ideas. I have a lot of great content that I'm planning, so just be patient with me. I hope you are ready for this new year on the channel, and I'm so excited to see how this channel grows in the coming years. So please stay tuned for that. Thank you again to you guys for supporting me all this time. I literally had 2 subscribers, and that was my sister and my mom when I started my first upload. And I can't believe so many people tune in to me once a week. It's a little scary, a little intimidating, but you know what? I work well under pressure, and there is a little bit of a pressure to perform now, but I am up for the challenge. So thank you again so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. I'm not lying, by the way. You guys better treat yourselves because we are all celebrating, even if we're doing so separately. I need to get back to work on my secret project that you guys don't know about yet, but it's coming soon. So stay tuned. Thank you.